Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the MLS Journeyman Season 1, Team 1, Inter Miami. We are back. It is the 14th of January, 2021, so the clock has rolled ahead a little bit. And, let's take a look at the state of things. We'll start with the club info. There's a couple things I wanted to comment on here. First of all, we won an award since last time. How about this? First place in the Team Fair Play Award. How about that? I mean, I guess that's good. It's nice that we were nice to people, but we did not play very well last year, in case you forgot. Is it in their overview? No. Competitions? No. Anyway, we did not play very well. Take a look at our head coach from last season. Carl Robinson was there for 212 days before he was sacked. You know, as nice as our team played, old Carl didn't quite get the job done. Former Vancouver head coach, before that a player in MLS, longtime player. Played at Sunderland, Norwich, Toronto FC, New York. Coached at Vancouver before getting the head coaching job. So he's got, solid pedigree there. He looks like a decent coach. He just didn't really get the job done. You take a look at, not his career stats. Those are his stats as a player. Lots of appearances, not a ton of goals. But as a coach, not so good. 27 games, 2 games won, 8 games drawn, 17 lost. Minus 27 goal differential, so hence he got the boot, and we're going to come in and try to replace him, try to do a little bit better than that. Let's see, what else did I want to talk about here on the club screen? Oh yeah, stadium. I kind of glanced over this last time. New Lockhart Stadium. Very good stadium. It is a brand new stadium, according to FM. Built in 2020, so just last year it was built, probably for the beginning of the season. And then also, we're due to move into 25,000 seat capacity Miami Freedom Park in 2022. So in just 2 years, we're going to get another new stadium, which is kind of wild. So I started looking this up. I started doing some research, and this is true. This is all true. They've got plans on their website. If you go to their website, you can see their wild new stadium that they want to build. It's like a huge park. And currently they are building, or I should say rebuilding, Lockhart Stadium. And they are like completely rebuilding it from the ground up. If you want an interesting channel to check out, on YouTube, there's FUTBOL Miami TV. FUTBOL Miami TV. As far as I can tell, it's just a guy who lives near the stadium, and he's got a nice camera, and he just walks around videotaping the construction. And man, they are building that thing from the ground up. They tore just about everything down except for the skeleton, and they're rebuilding that stadium. So it's going to be a brand new stadium in 2020, and then they've got even grander plans for a crazy high-tech stadium in 2022. We'll see if they can pull that off. See if David Beckham and the crew can pull that off. The Grand Maesters of the club here. We didn't look at the club members, but here they are. President Marcelo Clore, Nikki Budelich, sure. As one of the directors, Jason Kreese. There's a big name. There's a guy that we're familiar with from playing many seasons in MLS. He's usually a coach of some capacity in MLS, but now he is on our board of directors, along with the Beckster, David Beckham, who is of unknown rating. This guy could be pretty good. You never know. Somebody should check him out and see if he's any good. Who knows? And then we got the George Moss, Jose Moss, and Masayoshi Son as our other directors. So a very interesting board. Got people from several different nations, and of course a couple of big names on there. And I wanted to talk about the board a little bit, because the board are furious right now. Look at that. Devastated. Lack of high profile signings you've brought into the club has been extremely disappointing. So we need to focus on that. That's something that is difficult for me to do. If you've seen any of my previous saves, you know that I am terrible at bringing in high-profile players. It's just not my strength, not my forte. So this could be like the most difficult challenge in MLS I've ever had, which is to just sign well-known players, because that's something I almost never do. And when the few times that I have done it, it hasn't turned out very well. So this is going to be difficult because, like I said, they want players of reputation similar or higher to the club. And if we look at the club, it says we've got 3-star regional reputation. I don't know exactly how that translates into world reputation and if they're going to rate things properly, because I don't think we're ever going to be able to sign a 3-star world reputation player. It might be possible, but it's going to be very difficult to do that. 3-star regional, no problem. Shouldn't be a problem anyway. So I got my scouts out looking for those kind of players. Like, for example, to tell you how difficult it would be to sign a player, I looked at the ratings, and Carlos Vela is a 2-star player. 2-star national or world reputation. So I have to sign somebody a whole star better than Carlos Vela, which I don't think is possible. I mean, Zlatan probably, but I don't think he's coming back to MLS, so I don't think there's a chance there. So we're going to have to find somebody, or maybe more than one. Now that does bring us to transfers. There have been quite a few transfers going on. Players in, players out, of course, and some players who are coming in the future. I don't know exactly where some of these future transfers have come from. It seems like the general manager is signing people, even though he's not supposed to. Or maybe some of these were already there. You know, they were already incoming. But some of these guys are just popping up. So we got 2 youngsters coming in. 24-year-old Shaq Moore coming over from 2nd division in Spain to play right back for us, which is fine because we need a right back. And he's pretty decent. His reputation is not that worldly, but as far as, you know, I think blue stars means that it's not world reputation. You know, yellow stars are world reputation. Blue stars are maybe regional reputation. So if that's the case, if that's 3.5-star regional reputation, then that's fine. That should help us out. But I don't know if that is the case. Same with Alexis Menendez, or Mendez, I should say, 20-year-old coming over from Ajax, another American. So we're getting back some young Americans who went over to Europe, and now they're making their way back to MLS. And he likewise, 1.5-star reputation. So he's not going to help us out. Hopefully Shaq Moore helps us out. And, you know, we'll see who else we can sign. I tried to sign this fella, 29-year-old Oscar. Brazilian. He's pretty good. And he's also currently unemployed. 4-star player. Very talented. You know, lots of technique. Lots of mental strength. Pretty good speed and quickness and all that kind of stuff. But he doesn't really want to sign with us, because he doesn't think that we can pay him enough money. He is a 3-star reputation. So there is hope that maybe we could get a guy of this quality, but right now we got budgetary issues. We'll look at the budget in a second, but we're just not able to offer the salaries that I was hoping we could offer, and that's too bad. We've also got 3 more incoming. We got some staff members. Wayne Attard, 48-year-old Maltesian. Anyway, he's going to coach our Inter Miami 2 club. Basically, he's the only, well, not basically, he was the only guy to apply for the job. So he got the job. That's how it works, I guess. If one person applies for the job, they're it. And so here's Wayne. He's going to be our head coach for Inter Miami 2. He's not great. He's not even good, but he's hired. What can I say? And then we got a couple of other coaches coming in. Dado Perso going to come in as basically our attacking coach. Great determination, discipline. 15 attacking is pretty good. So, you know, he'll help us out on the coaching staff. And then Dan the Man, he's going to come in as more of a general coach just to help us out with the workload. And he's decent. He's fine. No problems there. We have had some transfer history. Well, not. Yeah, I guess we have had some transfers. We'll get into those. We've had some drafts. This guy was brought in by the general manager or whatever, Alex Morrell. Not sure about this guy, but we've sent him down to Inter Miami too pretty quickly. See you later. Connor Shanosky, central defender, 29 years old. You know, he's okay, I suppose. He's a reserve type dude, and that's fine. We need some reserves, so why not bring him in? And then we had the off-season waiver drafts. The December waiver drafts of various stripes. Picked up some good players. Picked up some pretty good players. Austin Trusty, one of the young up-and-coming defenders in MLS, and this guy was available. Philadelphia, I believe, let him go. And we picked him up in the waiver draft. He's pretty good. 6'3", excellent physicals, pretty good technicals and mentals, high value. Still only 22 years old. If this guy was in the MLS Super Draft, he'd be #1 pick by a mile. So the fact that we got him for free is pretty cool. Information, again, 3.5 stars. But the board wasn't very happy with him. They don't care. Maybe because we didn't sign him as a starter, or did we sign him as a starter? I can't recall. Senior contract, salary cap, it doesn't say. Anyway, the board's not happy with him, so it doesn't really matter. And then San Jose, we picked up one of our old pals, Louis Philippe. We know this guy can play defensive midfielder, central mid. He's a decent player. Good mentals. He's a good locker room type guy. Work rate, aggression. He's fine. Midfielder, so we picked him up. Steven Birnbaum, another outstanding central defender, a guy with 11 caps for Team USA, star player in his prime years. Picked him up, I believe, from DC United. I thought he came from Atlanta, but he came from DC United. The board should be happy with this guy. I don't know why they're not. He's a very good player. He should have a pretty decent reputation, yes? 4-star reputation. So, again, this is what has me worried about whether or not the board is going to look just at world reputation. Because if they're looking at world reputation, we are out of luck for seriousness. And then we picked up a reserve goalkeeper, Brad Stuver. Fine, 3.5 star. Inexpensive, decent player, good reflexes. He's okay. He's a fine backup. No problems there. Then we made some trades, of course. We always love to make trades. Now, you know me. When people offer me trades, I almost always say yes, especially when they're offering me first-round draft picks, which I cannot say no to. So we got rid of a couple of guys I kind of wanted to get rid of for no good reason. Edward Sosa, he's a decent player. One of those young Colombian players that we were looking at, but I don't know, there was just something about him I didn't particularly like. He's small, he's slow, he's not very strong, he's not great. He's decent, he's solid, but he's not great, and decided to trade him because they offered me a first-round pick, 11th pick in the draft, and a 4th-round pick on top of that. I just couldn't say no. And then speaking of couldn't say no, we got rid of Eddie Segura, one of our top players, 23 years old, valued at $3.2 million. This is probably a mistake. I'll admit it. He's actually a pretty good player. He's sort of a step above. But we had just got those 2 American defenders in the waiver draft. So I was like, do we really need 3 starter caliber defenders? Or can we afford to get rid of this guy because Minnesota was offering me 2 more picks, including the 4th pick in the draft and $1.6 million in allocation money, and another first-round pick for 2023. So 2 first-round picks and $1.6 million. I decided to take that. What are you going to do, right? What are you going to do? And then finally, we made a very interesting trade here. This is the one trade that the board likes. Hector Villalba. For whatever reason, I think it's because he was unhappy with his contract. His contract was running out. He was unhappy, and he wanted to leave. So Atlanta United let him go for basically nothing, a 4th-round draft pick and $50,000 in allocation money. And we picked up, our 1-star player here, valued at $6 million. Look at this guy. 4.5 star. He's a star player for MLS. No question about it. He is fast. He's got great long shooting, which should help us out. Great, mental attributes. And he's got some pretty good reputation. Look at that. He's got 2-star world reputation. So he was basically like top 5 in terms of highest reputation in MLS. It was like, Carlos Vela and a couple of other guys and Hector Villalba. So I think we might have to go out and try to trade whatever we can for guys like Carlos Vela and whoever else we can find with world reputation in MLS, and hopefully that satisfies the board. So we're going to try to do that. We'll see. I don't know. We do have the Super Draft coming up. Basically today, the Super Draft is coming up, the 14th. So I don't know if we want to show that. We got a friendly in 2 days. This is such a weird calendar these days. Like, the MLS calendar has changed so much since I first started playing this game. It's kind of wild. Like, we used to never have friendlies until like February, and now the draft wasn't until February. Like, a lot of crazy stuff. So they've really changed around the calendar, and it's messed me up a little bit. It's messed up my internal rhythm after playing this league for so long. Anyway, we've got the Super Draft. We'll take a look at transfers. You can see our draft allocations. As I mentioned, we do have the 4th pick in the draft, the 11th pick, and then the 1st pick in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round. We should have had the first pick in the 1st round, but the previous management traded that away, I guess. So we don't get that this year, but we got the 4th pick. That's pretty good. And if we take a look at scouting, we can see the players who are in the MLS draft. I think I changed this. Yeah. So I've been looking for world reputation players to bring in. And, there's not a lot of guys who are real interested. Right? We got Oscar, maybe. It's gonna be wild. But we'll take a look at those declared for the upcoming Super Draft. And we got some pretty decent players, especially at the top of the draft. The number 1 player, Mario Martinez, right back. Which we could kind of use a right back, but we just brought a guy in to be our right back, and so we don't really need like a 1st-round top 5 pick at that position. So what I'm thinking is that instead of drafting players this year, maybe I'll try to make some draft day deals and bring in some bigger players. So I think that's what I'm going to try to do. And if I can't do it, then we'll just pick guys, pick the best guys we can. But if we can do it, maybe by next episode, you'll see we'll have some bigger names on the roster. Hopefully, that's what I'm going to do. So I think we're going to cut it a little bit short here. I might throw in some footage of the Inter Miami Stadium at the end of this, just to give you an idea, just to pad out the episode. Let's be truthful. But anyway, we're gonna end it here. Come back with some big roster moves, our first friendlies, and all that stuff. So until then, we'll see you later. Bye bye.